Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name's Faye, I am the Chronic Crafter and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Today I wanted to showcase the gorgeous Memories in Bloom scrapbooking suite. The products that I'm using today are the Memories in Bloom Two-Tone Cardstock and the Florals in Bloom Designer Series paper and sticker sheets. This can be found on page 67 of the annual Stampin' Up catalogue. I've previously done a video going through the different papers and the sticker sheet available in this set. So if you've not yet watched that and you don't have this suite, I would encourage you to go and watch that video first. Today I wanted to do some scrapbooking using this absolutely gorgeous set. I have already used this set to make a card, which I have here, and you can see I've used some of the papers from the set and some of the two-tone cardstock, and it's come together really nicely. But now I wanted to have a go at some scrapbooking. So first things first, I need to open up my sticker sheet because it's still in its packaging. See what the easiest way into this is going to be. So I do like a sticker sheet when scrapbooking because it can help take some of the guesswork out. Sometimes a well-placed sticker can really be all you need to finish off a layout. So here we have the sticker sheet. They're nice thick stickers, and we've got some really nice big florals, some sentiments, some words, and some almost washi like strips. So I'm just going to put that to the side. All the Stampin' Up paper packs and sticker packs come with this really thick paper as a backing, which I like to keep because you never know when a nice white piece of 12x12 cardstock will come in handy. It's also good to keep one of those as you're storing the paper to stop anything bending too much. So first things first, I need to find some whole pieces of 12x12. As you can see, I've cut into some of these already to make some cards. I do really like this piece, but it is very dark and I'm not sure that's what I'm feeling today. This is Petunia Pop, which is one of my favourite colours. Always makes for a great layout, I think. Now there's nothing to say you have to use a solid piece as the background. This set really does have some lovely patterned papers with backgrounds that aren't too busy. So we've got this one which uses Timid Tiger and Darling Duckling. We've then got this one which is really nice little florals, which is what they used on that card. I'm going to put this one to the side because I quite like this one. We then have this piece, which is actually, I think, one of my favourites from the set, with the pink flowers. But again, nice plain background on the reverse, which would be great for scrapbooking. We have this sheet of flowers, which also comes with a plain sheet. Again, I'm just going to put that to the side for a moment. And then this one is also absolutely one of my favourites. It does have a nice backing piece that you could use for scrapbooking, but I think this is one that I'm just going to have to save and hoard. And I love this. This is the two-tone cardstock, so we've got the paler side and then we have the brighter side. Isn't that just lush? And again, look at how well that picks out each other. So, decision time. I actually think that this is really nice for a scrapbook background. I'm not so keen on this. Believe that's the Timid Tiger and Summer Splash and possibly Secret Sea in there, but it's just, they're not my colours, whereas I'm liking this. So because I've gone for sort of a more red colour, my Petunia Pop probably isn't going to get to feature in this layout, but that's okay. There's always plenty of opportunity to use it elsewhere. That goes nicely. That's probably not going to work so well. Granny Apple Green could work nicely if I don't go down the blues route. We've then got Timid Tiger, which actually could work together. More of the Granny Apple Green. And then the Darling Duckling Two-Tone Cardstock there. So I'm not sure about the Timid Tiger, so I'm going to take that out. So Stampin' Up do print on the back of all the designer series paper packs the colours that have been used. So this set does include Strawberry Slush, which I believe is this colour, and I'm going to pair it with the Darling Duckling. I think we could get some Granny Apple Green in there. I think we can. But again, maybe the paler, maybe the darker. But if I'm going with the green, I'm not going to go down the road of using these blues, despite how much I love them. But the bluey green will go really nicely with the Petunia Pop. So, a lot of people find it easier when scrapbooking to start with your photographs. I personally don't do that. I create my layout, see what I've got, and then find photos to match it. I also think that sometimes photos can be quite personal, so I don't like to put those on my layouts that I share online. A standard photo in the UK, or pretty standard size, is 6 by 4 inches, and I like to create a couple of mats to go on my layout that are that size. It does really remind me of spring, this set of papers, which is absolutely lovely. We like that, a spring summery vibe. I do want to get some flowers in there, I just don't know which ones. So I'm just looking through my papers again, trying to decide what might go together. So we have this piece, could be very nice. Again, we're picking out the Strawberry Slush in there and the Darling Duckling, which I do really, really like. Can't decide now. And again, I believe that's Granny Apple Green, so that would pick out nicely together. I am going to have to go with the dark side of the Granny Apple Green. I just like it too much to not do that. In terms of die cuts might be a good addition to this layout. You can also die cut photos. There's nothing to say that you couldn't do that, which could be quite fun. So I'm just seeing what die cuts I have got here. And just seeing what catches my eye for this project. So this is the Stylish Shapes dies. Again, this is part of the new annual catalogue. I don't think I've used these yet. If you were using them in a card, these banners would be lovely for sentiments. But right now, I'm actually really drawn to these squares. So I might pick out our largest square on there. And these have got a really, really nice stitched edge, so they're going to add a little bit of detail and not be completely plain for us. So I'm just going to pick which section I essentially want to frame, really. Definitely want to get some of the Strawberry Slush and Darling Duckling in the piece that I cut. I think I'll go about there. And then I'm just going to grab some scissors and trim that down a little bit smaller so that I can run it through my die cutting machine. So I do really like the way that the Stampin' Up papers come with 2 of each design, so don't be afraid to play around with your pattern paper packs. If you think, oh, if I cut this up, am I going to completely muck it up? Just have a go, just play around. It's only paper. You can always get some more if you truly mess it up that much. but on the flip side, you can always get more if you absolutely love the design, which has definitely happened to me before. So I want to get the whole of that flower in there, because I think that would be really nice. If you die cut at an angle rather than straight on, it can make it easier for your die cutting machine. And if you're using a manual die cutting machine, that can then make it easier for you to get the design through. So that is why I've twisted my square to be at an angle. I'm just going to run that through now. And here we go. Look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? I don't know if you can see on camera, we've just got a very delicate stitched edge running around the edge of our cutout. Let's move that back to the side. I really do like this set, and I'm sure I will use it more in the next few weeks, because I've not really had a chance to play around with it yet. So in terms of our Granny Apple Green, I'm just going to measure how big this piece is. So what's quite funny is, because I'm in the UK, I tend to work in centimetres, as I'm sure a lot of you in the UK do. But then when I'm scrapbooking, I tend to work in inches, because the pictures are 6 by 4 inches. The size of the layout is normally 12 by 12 inches. So I've almost got to rewire my brain to think I'm measuring the inches side of the piece this time, rather than the centimetres part of the ruler. So I'm just going to cut a plain piece of Granny Apple Green cardstock down to 6 by 4 inches, which would be, I always have to check, because of course my trimmer is in centimetres. So we're going for just under 15.5 in terms of the length. So unfortunately this only goes up to 14.5, and then 15, I'm gonna go about there. Oh, so actually I suppose, of course, something I should have mentioned is, if we're sticking a 6 by 4 photo, we want our piece of paper to be 7 by 5 inches. So I'm very glad I remembered that before I cut the piece. So this is just under 5, unfortunately, this piece. And 7 inches is just under 18 centimetres. So in that case, I could either do, I could do half an inch, so I could do 6.5 inches, which I am going to have to cave in and just, I'm going to do it on the flip side, so the side I don't want. And I'm just going to grab a pencil and just mark where 6.5 inches is. So I'm going to do 6.5 inches by 4.5 inches. So there we go. Got there eventually with deciding what I was going to do. So let's just trim that down and then trim it again there. So that does look quite big to me. I do have a 6 by 4 photo here, so I could trial out what it would look like, and that definitely feels like I've cut that too long. That would be because my photograph is not exactly 6 inches. And actually it is exactly by 4, but it's not by 6. If I just look, I just try and show you the sizing here. The photograph is coming in at 5.75 inches. So if I'm doing photos 5 3/4, I'm adding a border of 1/4 inch round each side, so that's 1/2 inch, so that's 6 1/4 is where I want to cut it to lengthways. So I'm just going to trim a little bit more off there. So, you know, measure twice, cut once type of thing. So what does that look like now? There we go. Isn't that much better? So that's going to be my first photo mat. Straighten everything up. So I don't think I'll use any more Granny Apple Green, although I could use the flip side of it and it would look like I was using 2 colours, but 2 colours that are the same colour but different shades, so coordinate beautifully. So that can be my first photo, and that's literally just a random one that I've picked. I actually quite like where I've placed that, so I think I might do another one here, and I think this time I'm going to use the Darling Duckling. Question is which side. Probably going to go for the brighter side, so I'll flip it over this way, and then again I'm going to want to cut it to 6 1/4, and then lengthways is going to be 4.5 inches, which is why that's 4.5. That's 6 1/4. So I'll just trim this, see what I end up with. I'm just going to trim this straight across there. Put that to the side. And then trim this way. So let's see how the sizes compare. Look at that, it's about the same size, which is what I was aiming for. So we're going to have our first photo up here. I did my pencil mark on the side I wasn't using, so I'm now going to flip that over for the second photo. Again, I'll bring a photo over so that we can just imagine what that would look like. Check that I'm happy with the proportions that I've cut that to, and I am. So obviously if you were to choose quite busy photos, which I think I probably will end up doing, I don't necessarily want to add too much to my scrapbooking layout, but I have my nice panel there, and then I have my sticker sheets. I do like to add journaling onto my scrapbooking layouts, so the question is, where's the journaling going? And I think down here. So I need to add another colour that's going to coordinate nicely with what I already have on this page. And again, this is what I mean about you can use the same colour twice. So if I take the Darling Duckling, well actually there's nothing to say I couldn't use the paler side of that for some journaling. Or I could use the darker side again if I really wanted. I wonder. So I'm very much someone who sort of works these things out as I go. I don't set off. I don't start my project with an agenda thinking, oh, I'm going to do it exactly like this. I just decide as time goes on how I want it to look. And actually in this case, because I really do think I'm going to add some busy photographs with lots of flowers probably from photos from my local park, they're going to be busy, so I don't want to add too much on here. So I think this is one of those occasions that calls for a white piece of paper. Which I have some of that up here. Just get some of that out. And again, I've got to decide how big I want to make it. I'm probably just going to measure this in centimetres for my sanity. So I could go 10 centimetres by, oh, I don't really want to make a square. So I could go 9 centimetres by 13. Let's do that. So just trimming down the white paper. And again, the size you cut this to will depend on what you have decided to do on your layout. Look at that. That's a good size. Again, I literally just eyeballed the measurements. What I do want to do is add this gorgeous sticker onto my layout somehow. So I don't know if I might put it along here, if I might put it across my journaling. I've also got out my Darling Duckling ink pad. I need to get that on there as well somewhere. I really do like this colour. I don't have too many scrapbooking stamp sets. I say I don't have too many. I have one, which is the meant to be stamp set. But this Love This Life stamp, I think I could find a home for it on this layout. So let's see, this is where we decide I've cut the white. Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. There we go. Here's me thinking it was going to be too small. Now I just need to find my stamp block. Unfortunately, although the area of my desk you can see is reasonably tidy, the rest of my desk is not so tidy at the moment. Oh dear, I literally had this earlier on. I'm sure a lot of you who do papercraft can relate to this, because I know I had that stamp block and now it seems it's grown legs and walked off of its own accord, which of course it hasn't done. Stamp blocks can't grow legs, they're inanimate objects, but here we are anyway. I can only see my smaller one, which isn't going to be big enough for this. Oh dear, I really need to order some more stamp blocks as well, I think. So for now, what I will do is I will use my stamping platform. I'd normally only use this for slightly bigger stamps, but we are where we are. So I'll just use that. And I'm sure as soon as I stop recording on this video, my large stamp block will turn up. So I'm just going to line that up on there, pick it up with the acrylic, and then here I have the Darling Duckling ink pad. So the reason I'm really keen to use this is because it will coordinate really beautifully with the pattern paper on the project, and of course the little panel I've cut. Quite a large block for this sentiment, but I'm sure that'll be fine. And one thing I would say about using a stamping platform is if you do stamp and decide you haven't got quite enough ink, you can go in for a second go. As it turns out, I'm quite happy with what I've done there, but it's always nice to know that you have that option available to you. So I'll just put that to the side, bring everything back down. I will do my journaling off camera. Oh, look what I've just done. Look what I've just done. I've caught that panel with some ink. we will fix that. So actually on this sheet there's some really nice smaller flowers, including this one, which looks a little bit like the strawberry slush. So you look at that, problem solved. I'm not going to stick that down because I'm going to do some journaling off camera, but I'm now going to glue down my other elements. Again, I'm not including my photos on camera. I like to have my layout, and then I like to take one piece at a time to glue down so that you can understand where it's going in relation to the other pieces on the page. Whereas if you take everything off, you can't necessarily tell the best place to stick the elements. I'm using wet glue here because I really do like how you can slide it around if you don't quite get it right the first time. I'm tempted to add a bit of dimension. No, I want to add a sticker. Actually, I've just seen the other side of that. That's beautiful. You could do sort of 3 squares. In fact, there's nothing to say I couldn't do 3 squares. But I'll stick that one down for now. So what I was going to do was stick a square there and a flower here. But you could add more of the squares from that die set. I used the largest square, so you could actually use the second largest one and potentially do 3. But I want to use this nice big sticky flower. Stickers peel up really nicely from the Stampin' Up sticker sheets, and I wanted to sit that just there. So I am going over the border for my photo slightly, but that won't be where the photo needs to be. This looks a bit odd with just one flower sticking on there now, so I'm just going to add another one at the top. Add that there. And you can see, even without the photos, it's come together really nicely. We've got one sentiment down the bottom, but I've then got all of these different words to choose from. I might use this beautiful one. So I love this. So then I can literally just stick that over my square. Of course I could have stuck it there, don't have to stick it over the existing elements, but I think that adds a little bit of dimension to what you're doing. Thinking, can I add something into this gap here? There's some plain leaves on the sticker sheet, so I'm possibly going to add one of those, and I'm going to have it coming from the Granny Apple Green and just sort of cascading downwards from where that photo will be. And there we go. I think that is all I'm going to add on this. I'll do my journaling and add my photos off camera, but there we have it, a beautiful scrapbooking layout made with the Memories in Bloom kit. If you're in the UK and would like your own Stampin' Up annual catalogue, then please comment below this video or send me a message and I can send one out to you. You can also check out the link in my bio to visit my Stampin' Up store 24 hours a day and to get a closer look at these products or to order them for yourself. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and like. Thank you, and bye bye.